Hey, how's it going? The fretboard is glued, the neck is glued in place. This is very close to being woodwork complete. Things that still need to happen is I need to carve the neck. You can see it's still square. And I need to fret it. Other than that, and other than the just bucket loads of sanding, she's pretty much done. So what I've been doing this morning is starting to make control covers. I decided I wanted to make them out of the same wood that the body's made of. So I've started cutting out bits of walnut. This one will become the control cover. My goal is to get the grain to match up as well as I can. It won't be perfect, but as long as it's the same orientation, that's my aim. So we'll see how well I've gone in trying to line it all up. But quite a bit of work still needs to be done on that before it'll be ready to go in. Now it'll get finished in the same lacquer as the back of the guitar. Yeah, as far as shaping or fretting first, I think I'm going to fret the neck before I shape the back of it. But I don't think it really matters. Now that the fretboard's glued down, there's enough stability there, it doesn't matter which way I want to go. And then, once it's fretted and the neck is carved, I'll give it its first rough setup. The bridge and tail piece should arrive tomorrow, and I can drill for ducks. So, getting real close. Okay. I'm about to get started fretting the neck of this guitar. I thought I'd show you quickly some of the steps need to happen before you can actually start putting frets in. So, this is how fret wire comes when you buy it from Stu Mac at least. There's lots of strips of the stuff in here. It takes a couple to do a guitar, but so it comes out of the packet straight, right? But as I've explained before, guitar necks aren't straight, the radius. So the wire needs to bend to match the radius of the fretboard. Then it goes in as easy as possible. So I have a tool just here, just clamped to the bench, that I use to put the radius in the fret wire. So I'll show you quickly how it works. This top wheel has a groove in it where the tang of the fret wire needs to go. I don't know if you can see that very well. No, probably not. Tang goes in the groove, and then if you can get it in there, that's what she said. Turn the handle and it feeds the wire through, and that puts the radius in the wire. The goal is that when the wire comes out, this is the radius of my fretboard, by the way. The goal is that the wire is just fractionally more bent than the radius itself. That way, when I hammer it in, when I put it in there and hammer it, it will splat out, and the little barbs on the tang will really dig into the fretboard. So that's what it looks like after it's been radiused. I just measured it there, and it's exactly how I want it. Probably because I haven't changed it since the last time I radiused some wire. There's a little thumb nut on the back that you undo and you use to adjust the height of this is the output wheel, and the higher up that wheel is, the more curve you're going to put into the wire. So I've got it where I like it. So I'm going to do one more piece because we need a couple, and then I'll move over to the setup table where we'll start fretting the guitar. The very first thing that I'm going to be doing is cutting the wire to size for each of the 22 frets. Now, I've got this little block here, holes numbered 1 through 24, so I can do 24 fret necks if I want. And very first thing will be taking some wire and just laying it across the fret itself, just to see how much wire I actually need. Have it just hanging, a slight overhang on either side, because you do want a little bit of wastage, not heaps though. Figure out exactly as wide as it needs to be, get your fret nippers in there, and cut it. That fret then goes in the one hole, and I do that another 21 times. So I've got 22 frets cut, each measured to be slightly oversized the slot it needs to go into. Now, you remember earlier that I put binding on this fretboard. What that means is, with the tang the way it is, going all the way to the end of the fret, these frets won't fit into the fretboard the way they are. What I need to do is get rid of the last little bit of tang on each of these frets. So, I'm just going to eyeball, and I'll put it in here, how much tang needs to come off. I then have this tool here, which nips the tang. So, I get the fret, put it in this little tool with the amount I need to get cut off, under the little guillotine, and just nip it. And you can see what it's doing there. Just cut the tang off the end of the fret. Now that end will sit on top of the binding, and you won't be able to see the fret slot from the outside of the guitar. So I had to do that to both sides of every one of these frets. So I'll do that now. You do want to leave as much tang on as you can, because that's what ends up holding the fret in place. So when I'm measuring against the board, what I'm seeing is how generous I was when I first cut the fret, as far as overhang goes, and therefore how much I need to cut off. The more accurate I was with cutting the eventual fret length, the less tang needs to be removed. When I'm eyeballing it and figuring it out, I need to work out not just how much can go in given the current radius, but once I hammer the fret in, how far those bits are going to move out when the fret flattens. And that will, because if there's not enough room before the edge of the binding, when the fret splays out, the tang will push out the edge of the binding, and it's pretty noticeable when you look at the neck. So I want to avoid that happening. 6 down, 15 to go. That's wrong math. 16 to go. All the frets have been cut, all the tangs have been nipped. The process I'm going through now is actually sticking them in. I'm doing something I haven't done before though, in this case, and that is I'm taking a little bit of super glue and just popping just a really small dollop on the end of each fret that will sit up on the binding. The reason I'm doing that is that sometimes after you stick these frets down, you have trouble with the ends popping up. And I'm going to try and avoid that on this one. I've had it happen on other necks that I've fretted. So I tap in one end, then tap in the other end, and then you'll find it's sitting up in the middle. So give it a nice firm whack in the middle. And then the whole way across one end to the other. Sorry if that's a little bit loud. And then because I've got a little bit of glue in there, I'm just going to get in there with a rag and wipe off anything that's squeezed out. So I'm not 100% sure if this little gluing strategy will even work, but the goal is that the bits that sit on the binding then stay nice and flat down. So yeah, that's the here and now. Feel free to stick around and watch. Here we are. Threaded the neck. I have also run my fret leveling file down the edges to get them close to right up against the binding, so there's no more overhang. Still probably wouldn't want to play it like that, it'll cut your hand up. So there's still a long way to go before the frets are playable, but they're all in. So next thing I'm going to think about is carving the neck. In preparation for carving the neck, I've scrawled a bunch of lines on the back. Be a little tough to see them, and some lines on the side that are also tough to see. But basically they mark the points on the guitar where I'm going to start just hogging out wood. So a couple of lines near the centre of the neck. My first job will be to carve away anything between those lines and the ones on the side. Take out a triangle chunk of wood pretty much the whole way along the neck. On either side. And just do that with rasps and files. So it's actually quite enjoyable. So I'll film a little bit of that. Hey, so I got my new order of stuff from Stu Mac that had the components for the guitar in it, and I couldn't help myself, so I've given it its first rough mock-up here. It's got tuners in, tail pieces in place, bridge is just held down by the strings, and yeah, it's very exciting to see it all strung up. Can't play it properly, it's not tuned up or anything, but yeah, that's the first mock-up. Yeah. Hey, this will be the last update before signing off for a while. The guitar, woodwork-wise, is complete. It's still in the process of finish sanding. Top's been sanded to about 240, as has the back. The rest of it, the sides for the most part, they're at about 180. Back of the neck, about the same, and doing some work on the headstock as well. But yeah, working my way through the grits, and after I've sanded the whole thing, I will grain fill all of the walnut bits. And then it'll be ready for spraying, and I need to build a new spray booth. So that's where it's at for the moment, and there won't be much worth updating on for probably a month or so. So this will be the last update for a little while. But woodwork wise, it's done, and for the first time making this style of guitar, I'm really pleased with how it's come out. So yeah, thanks for checking in. I'll see you in a little while.